Halloween
forever.
Hello there, Arthur and Meaghan. I got one for you. Are you ready to have one?
Yes.
Let's get it.
I asked my friend Mr. Fessenden what he was doing for Christmas. Do you know what he said?
No, what'd he say?
He said he was going to eat, drink, and be Larry.
Oh,
Ew.
Oh,
Nice.
boy.
Welcome to a showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. Brian is out sick, so it's up to me to do a little bit of legwork and finding bad jokes. And I did it, and I'm proud of myself of that one. But with that in mind, with Brian out, we do still have two guest competitors tonight, and we will be talking Larry Fessenden films in our very first Larry FessFest. And with us tonight is the Gravetone podcast. Like I mentioned, it's Arthur and Meaghan, but why don't you both introduce yourselves?
Yes,
Go
hi,
ahead.
I'm Meaghan,
I'm Arthur.
and we co-host a Gravetone podcast, in which we mostly, I would say, talk about horror film in its various different forms. We do reviews of newer releases. We do some deep dives to a degree. We do some interviews and some collabs with, other like-minded horror folk when we can.
Some directors, some writers. Yeah, it's a bit of everything. And, I think the movie part is the biggest one because we tend to go on release night and then we run back home and record it at 11 o'clock at night.
And don't talk to each other the entire
Yeah, and don't
way
talk to
home
each other
so
because
that
we don't
can
want to
just
ruin
have a
the energy.
conversation.
So yeah, I mean, you can find us at Gravetone Pod on any social media and gravetonepod.com. We have actually a cool horror movie picker quiz if you're interested in that.
Yeah, that we've just put together for fun.
Right on. Well, thanks for being here with us tonight. And
Thank you for having
we're
us.
going to talk we're going to talk some Larry Fessenden films, and we got 3 lined up. I know we talked about we're going to do Brian's We Are Still Here, but he's not here to defend it, and that's a film he really loves, so we'll just let him keep it for another time, maybe a Barbara Crampton or a Larry FessFest 2.
That's it. It's a
but
good movie, so I get it.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I was thinking about it, and he texted me pretty early this morning, and he said, hey, I'm really sick, and I had to take work off. And I said, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm understanding. I said, yeah, sure, I get it. But you know what I think he was actually doing? I think he went out and picked up Resident Evil 9, and he's playing hooky.
Oh no!
Because I just realized as we're recording this on the release of Resident Evil 9. And I said, you know what? This is one of those times where you play hooky from school, but you can't be seen out at the movie theaters later. Everybody has to believe that you're sick or else they'll tattle.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's what he's doing. He couldn't do the podcast tonight because people that he works with would listen to it and go, how did you record the podcast if you were sick? So nope. He just wants to play Resident Evil 9. I'm on to him now. And he's going to have to watch double the punishment films coming up in March, I bet.
There you go.
With that in mind, let's move on to one of the things we can still do without Brian. And that is everybody slurping on something tonight?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes.
I know both of you are out of Canada, so do you have any Canadian wet ones that you're slurping on?
I mean, it's a bit different for us, I would say. We don't have the wet ones, but we don't usually have like beer at home. We have some stronger stuff, I guess I would say. So what do you have?
I'm incredibly boring and basic at this point, so all I have is lemonade with some vodka in it.
Sure, it's fine.
That's fair. I have kind of like a double trouble for this. So right now I'm a Scotch guy. So right now I have a Dalwhinnie 16, which is a single malt Scotch. Ooh. And then when this is over, there's just like a little bit in there. I'm going to move on to a Macallan 12 for like that nice sweet taste. So.
Ooh, wow.
He's very pretentious.
Hey, he can be pretentious if he wants, just because it's not that we don't respect that kind of whiskey. We just don't usually drink it. But, I have a very strong affinity for like Ardbeg. I've had it before. I enjoy it.
You have
it.
So,
yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
Hey.
So,
if we had some Basil Hayden, I would be drinking it now, but we can't buy it in here because of all the restrictions. So unfortunately, we don't get the good bourbon.
Yeah. Hey, it's okay if you want to, like do some trades, do some, side dealings. You just have to like meet off the coast.
Yeah.
And
100%.
in international waters, and you can deal in American products.
There you go.
Things of that nature.
What are you having?
So I am still sticking with the beer, as per usual for our show. But for myself, I have from Lost Coast Brewery. It's actually out of California, but it's called their just simply peanut butter chocolate stout.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of peanut butter chocolate stouts. Some of them in this area, I think Sweet Baby Jesus is one of the more popular ones. But this one, it has a funny little cow on the label, and peanut butter and chocolate. Those are two great things in one. So I'm definitely not making any kind of allusions to my film about a cow and two great things in one.
Oh God,
that was a great reference.
It was a good segue.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty solid beer. It drinks fine. It has like all the peanut butter and chocolate notes, but it's not like a dry Irish like Guinness or anything like that. So I'm trying to think. There's a brewery in Canada that produced something similar, Flying Monkeys. If you're familiar with that. It
sounds familiar.
I don't know anything. I can't help you.
They're pretty big, and they've been around for a while, and they're big enough to come into America from time to time.
Fair enough.
But I do believe they had a peanut butter chocolate stout as well.
That's cool.
If you're looking for something of that flavor,
I would try it. That sounds
because
great.
we do have a few places that we can hit up if we want like microbrews and stuff. So
yeah, it's called the Chocolate Manifesto, which is it's a giant milk stout beer. So the difference is that one is 10%, whereas what I'm drinking tonight is only 5.5. So that beer is literally like twice the size. But I remember that beer very clearly because it is a very good, it's a very good chocolate stout. But Dan in our chat is pointing out, like Brian is not here to criticize the gloop glop that I drink, which is how we refer to beers that are just giant stouts and full of dessertiness. And for sure, the Chocolate Manifesto is gloop glop. So
I'm all for it, man. Give me a nice stout, 10-11%.
Yeah,
that sounds like my jam.
We do that a lot up in Canadian breweries. I feel like it's just like everybody's like, it's winter for half the year here, so you need it more.
Have a strong one.
You're welcome.
Also, I'll say, being from Pittsburgh, we do get a lot of Labatt down here.
Oh, do you?
Labatt's very popular because we have Sid the Kid. So
right,
that is a good point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, let's go to explaining what we're doing tonight. Tonight we're doing a showdown episode. And if you're new to the podcast, which you may be because maybe you're some Gravetone fans, a showdown episode is where we take a topic, and that topic comes from a spinny ass wheel. And we have a great big spinny ass wheel that has thousands upon thousands of different topics suggested by listeners coming from Brian's brain as he gets high. Just however they wind up on the wheel, we spin that wheel every month and we pick 3 topics off that wheel. And then we let our audience vote as to what the topic will be for the following showdown. And in February, you guys decided we were doing Larry Fessfest. And we were surprised. We were happy about it because we wanted to do Larry Fessfest. Often the audience doesn't listen to us, but they gave it to us this time.
Nice.
And so we got to pick 3 Larry Fessenden films. It was going to be 4, but we picked 3. We're going to do 3 tonight. And those 3 movies tonight are myself. I'll be talking about 1991's No Telling, which is directed by Larry Fessenden. Meaghan will be talking about Jacob's Wife from 2021, which is starring Larry Fessenden. And then Arthur will be talking about The Dead Don't Die from 2019, which features Larry Fessenden in a amusing and funny role.
Yeah.
But he's there, and it takes up the screen anytime he's on screen. So
Oh yeah.
we'll be talking about all three of those movies tonight. And then we'll be voting. And at the end, we'll decide which film wins Larry FessFest. And the winner will get to pick the punishment film for next week. So both of you are very much, if you win or lose, you're both very much welcome to come back on next week and talk about whatever punishment film we pick. I can't promise it'll be a good film. It usually isn't. And sometimes it's an unwatchable film. So it's all up to you.
Awesome. That sounds great.
It is a punishment. So, I feel like that sort of goes without saying to a degree. It's got to be kind of just terrible.
With that in mind, though, I'll give you guys the choice of what order we present our films in. Because you're first-time guests and you haven't done this before, it's all up to you and whichever order you want to present in. If you want, I'll go first and I'll tell everybody about No Telling. Or if you feel really strongly that you can present a good case for your film, speak up now and you can go first.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so much.
Oh, this is so stressful. I don't know. I mean, hey, it's your show. You do it.
Steve, you can go first.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go first, and then we'll let you decide as we talk. But basically, it's we'll do like a little 20-minute, just presenting your case, and then we can have a couple minutes afterwards.
We have a lot to say about this movie, so that's fair.
This was a first time watch for both of us, so it was us a lot to look into. And I will say, you know what, the Larry FessFest is our first time on the podcast. I think was actually really just like a great topic to land on in general. I'm really happy because when I've listened to previous episodes, I feel like other guests have not been as lucky with their choices. So.
Let's get started then with No Telling from 1991. Previous episodes, people know that we have actually talked about Habit, I believe on a modern vampires showdown episode, because, Brian was a big fan of the film Habit, but he had never seen No Telling. I happened upon this film in my research. I hadn't seen it before either. I originally thought I was going to do Wendigo or even possibly The Last Winter. But man, I watched this film and it just completely grabbed me up. And it is such a interesting take. One of the things we talked about that Larry Fessenden does as a director, not necessarily an actor, because as an actor, he'll take just any role that kind of strikes him. But as a director, we noticed he has a couple through lines in his directing. One is films about addiction, films about some sort of environmentalism or ecology, and then films that are a modern retelling of one of the three universal monsters, whether it be Frankenstein, Wolfman, or Dracula. So he does those things commonly. This one completes two of those three, and that is it's a very environmentalist heavy film, and it is also in ways a modern retelling of Frankenstein, although it basically leaves out the monster and focuses on the doctor.
It's true. Very well said.
I guess I would say that there is maybe a component of a monster to a degree by the end of the film that you do feel a lot of sympathy for, though.
That's true.
Yeah. It definitely, there is some sort of monster created in a physical sense, but then there's also another monster, that, or at least another person who is changed by this. So the other thing about this film that really stuck out to me is, and I didn't find any sort of like reference or anything, but it really feels like a Stephen King novel in a lot of ways as well. Just because there are a lot of characters, and we get to know a lot of depth to a lot of these characters. But there's also just a prevalence of evil in this town. There's a prevalence of death and rot, and it's very similar to Pet Sematary in that way, and in the way that Pet Sematary uses that the road traveled by the trucks.
Yeah.
That constant consumerism, capitalism, colonialism that's represented by the trucks. There's the omnipresence of death and sickness that is also accompanied by not just Jeffrey doing his science, but you see a lot of commercials for like pharmaceutical brands, and just an omnipresence of like chemicals and everything in the air and water. Like there's the farmer who gets sick, and his cows are getting sick from the pesticides. And so it's just, again, that creep of science that feels very much, like something Stephen King would write about. And I'm sure, in his prolificness, you could find it. I just can't make the reference right now outside of Pet Sematary.
That's true. It's well said. I mean, it's very present, and there's a whole conversation that we probably going to mention at the table that spans for a very long time that really kind of points to that.
That's true. Yeah. Like a debate basically that happens. Yeah, it's true. And also there is something Stephen King about the setting. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about small town America, like isolated sort of settings like that do sort of speak to a lot of his stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Except for rather than New England, this is upstate New York. Yeah. But it's still, kind of similar in nature. Yeah. So just to give a basic rundown, we're introduced to a couple, Lillian and Jeffrey, and they are headed out to upstate New York so Jeffrey can work on his science, and Lillian is an artist, so she can kind of travel freely as she wants. She can do her work anywhere. But we instantly get the sense that they have a little bit of a rocky relationship, because they see this as a good thing for their relationship. In that time, though, one of my favorite kind of visual storytelling things that Fessenden does is they're sitting in their new kind of home that they're just sort of sparsely moved into, and Lillian is sitting on Jeffrey's lap, and they're talking about how this is good for their relationship. It's a new start and all that. And then it's a hard cut to a dead deer covered in flies, which immediately tells you, okay, no, it's bad. This is all bad.
That was so jarring. First of all, I was like, what the hell? I was eating at the same time we were watching this. I'm like, oh my God, I can't eat now. So that's great.
Yeah.
And even later in the movie, we learn that their relationship is like 3 years, and they've been married like 2 years and 9 months out of those years. So it's a very quick relationship, which probably, kind of attests to this whole situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's even further mentioned because of the way Jeffrey works. She feels, Lillian feels like she's really only seen him for like 2 weeks out of the 3 years they've been together or something like that.
Exactly.
So,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had that exact line in the film to that effect of not feeling like she spent more than a few weeks with him the entire time that they've been together. I was like, oh, okay. Like it sets you up very much for like what you see develop through Jeffrey's character, and also the struggle that Lillian continues to have throughout the entire course of the film, and no one, her husband, but also other men in the film, listening to anything that she has to say.
Right. Yeah. She is very much like she's a put upon character, and it makes a lot of sense where she winds up at the end of the film. But yeah, we get the film, just back to the dead deer for a second. The film is full of a lot of striking and unpleasant imagery around animals that are dead or in peril. And
yes, very much so.
If you're squeamish about that, you're not going to like this film, because the film is almost on the level of like those PETA videos that they put out, to kind of sway you from like, to let you know like how, farming and that the whole process is like mechanicalized and just sends them through. And like, it's very cold and heartless. And that's what this film is doing. It's very similar to those PETA videos showing you just, cruelty is what it really is. And I know Fessenden is would have been very careful, and it's in the credits, like not your standard, like no animals were harmed, but it's just like, he calls it out very much like, we really did not hurt any animals in this film, even though it looks like it. And, profits we made went to an animal shelter. Like we love animals. We didn't hurt them. Please don't be mad.
Because Meaghan.
Yeah, I have a tendency to, unfortunately, have a bit of a struggle in any film in general, but in horror, any film that involves any kind of like injury to animals in general really tends to bother me as a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like sit with them very well. So this was definitely like a more uncomfortable watch. And I will say, like, to a degree that even more recent films that have come out, something like Primate, for instance, like anything that you have that's like a film of like, an animal that goes crazy and attacks people and everything like that. And that the end is coming for that particular animal before the end of the film, because there's just no other option really in store for an animal attack movie to a degree. I always wind up, even if they're well made, even if they're incredibly well done and entertaining films, I have trouble feeling about them when I finish them, because it really bothers me to see it on screen.
Sure. Yeah. And I can see how this one would be really rough, because like that is where most of the horror comes from. It comes from like the animal cruelty, and is like presented with a lot of really good puppets that are really upsetting. And although Meaghan, you said this, but maybe there's a punishment film in our history that you would be okay with. It's the film Sabretooth.
Oh, okay.
Which it's about a saber-tooth tiger, which, one, they're all already extinct, and two, it looks so fake that you probably couldn't be that upset, which is the difference of this film.
Okay, you know what? So I should caveat and say that I do have like the occasional exception in a film that is maybe so absurdist to a degree. So I haven't seen Sabretooth, but maybe a film that's so absurdist to a degree that it takes away all of the realism of it. So like not something like this, obviously, but what am I thinking of? Thinking like Eight-Legged Freaks, where where the spiders make little like squealy noises when they are running around and things like that, and you can't possibly take anything like that seriously at all. That type of movie I tend to just like discount, because it's not something that I feel is anywhere near realistic. I guess it's more like in a film like this, where like the puppets in this film I thought were incredibly well done, particularly for the time at which the movie was made. They just they hold up quite well, even when they don't look very realistic. I feel like you're so immersed in what's happening in the scene that you just kind of believe it anyway, if that makes sense. So I found myself maybe more bothered because like that aspect felt more realistic. But in something, I'm assuming anyway, in something like Sabretooth, I maybe wouldn't be as fussed about it. Partially also because, to your point, it's an extinct animal as well. So
just a thought. Like, if you're looking for something that you can stomach, go check out the movie Sabretooth, because it is so bad and so stupid you couldn't be upset.
True. Yeah.
But the other thing that this film does, like on top of the really good puppets, there are also just like real animals, in the location. So you see real mice next to like a puppet mouse that is being dissected and tortured. You see a real dog, and then that real dog does become imperiled. So like you see a lot of things that lead you to like just being able to buy into the film, and that's really upsetting. There's one particular scene that even like I'm pretty jaded, but I was gotten by this, and it's when Jeffrey is like just in the basement, and has a bunch of animals cut up and everything, and he goes to answer. He simply is just going to answer the phone, because one of Jeffrey's things is he's constantly arguing with the people who fund his project, and he's trying to get primates to be delivered to him to cut up and do his experiments on. But he's going to answer the phone, and he walks past a rabbit that looks to have like its whole bottom half skinned off, and it's nailed to a board, and then it turns and looks at him as he passes it, and I just went, "Oh, geez, dude, that is so vile."
I don't know. I don't know if that was the same scene where this rabbit has like its spine exposed, essentially, like all the way down.
That's
I hated it. I had to look away for a second. It was horrible.
Yeah, because like it wasn't moving at first, and then it moved, and I was just like, "Oh my god, that's so over the top, dude." But that's effective because it got a response out of all of us.
It's smart directing, so good job there.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a lot of that, and we'll come back to this towards the end of the film. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just generally Lillian and her kind of story, because this is more focused on Lillian than it is Jeffrey. Like, Jeffrey is just kind of some creep in the background that's doing evil, and you know that. Lillian has an interesting tale in which she is trying to get pregnant, and I don't think this falls into the save a marriage with a baby type thing, but I think it is just like a desire of hers to get pregnant. But through the storytelling and the way Fessenden does the storytelling with more visual than just saying shit, we get like a lot of close-ups of like broken eggs and other animals dying, and like things are happening that in the editing that are letting you know that like Lillian is not getting pregnant, and like I don't know that they confirm fully that she's infertile, and it may just be like that Jeffrey's infertile or whatever, but it is not happening between the two of them. And it's just another way of confirming that relationship is dead, and it's dying, and like it's rot. The other way that they confirm this is Lillian, she's a photographer and a painter, and while she's just exploring the area, she finds a dead cow, at the beginning of the film, and then takes a photo of it and then begins painting it through the rest of the film. And you see the progression of this painting, and the painting becomes less, lifelike, and it becomes more sick, and it becomes, like pallid and green.
Yeah.
And like she starts adding, elements that weren't there when we first saw the
exactly.
Thing, but
the cow has open eyes, and then it has like gashes on its neck and stuff, which wasn't there, like you just said. So yeah. Like the cow died of, like the pesticides, as we were talking. As we were talking about. But she begins adding all these elements that just makes it more violent and sick, and just like reflective of her own headspace of, just the way things are between her and Jeffrey. So I thought that was very good visual storytelling as well. Interestingly, just camera work in this film has a very specific kind of 1990s, like end of the 70s and 80s, start of the 90s movement to it. Some scenes are like handheld, and they feel kind of guerrilla style, and they almost feel like trauma movies at times with the way they're kind of done in a guerrilla style. And then he also does some extreme zooms, which feel very 90s, which, like he was like a progenitor, I guess, of like this extreme zoom style that feels very, like late 80s, early 90s. Yes, that's very true. So from what I understand, this was his directorial debut,
I believe
right?
So, yeah.
So I have a question for you, because you like the movie a lot, right? Do you think that these camera movements and like the specific way of filming, was it on purpose, or was it because they probably had like a budget of $100?
I think it's just very direct in the way he's doing it, because this isn't terribly different from Habit in the way that it's filmed. like this is his, I think this is his feature
That's his style,
directorial
right.
debut.
Mhm.
But he's like, he had been doing like a bunch of short films and music videos before this. So I think there's also a little bit of like his music video history that kind of bleeds into this, which is how you get extreme zooms out of that and like some of the lensing. So yeah, I think like all of this was done on purpose. Like there's the one scene where Lillian visits the empty paddock and it's just, you know, completely empty, but he does like this long pull out, like the actual motion is quick, but the space he creates is huge. Just that empty paddock, it's dark, there's nothing in there. And so like, yeah, I think that's very specific. And then there's another, like, I remember a quick edit of like a magazine quickly snapping into frame that gives you like an image. So like, yeah, it was very deliberate and it's just his style. And I think you can see some of that in Habit as well, but it's, you know, it's just a product of the time as well. You know, and I think it's part of that transitionary, that like, you know, the 70s with the indie revolution kind of gave way to a lot of handheld stuff, which you see in this. And then the 90s, you know, let indie people start really playing. People just started playing with style just to, you know, make things stylized. So yeah,
it's true. Very well said. Yeah.
I think we even said it as well when we were watching the film, was that there were definitely parts of it that were, that, like, to your point, like very like handheld, almost to the degree too, like the stylization, that I felt like I was watching a documentary for
in certain
a few
scenes,
seconds here and there. To a degree, like it felt like it had like a little bit of like, I don't know, what am I thinking of, like Cannibal Holocaust or something like that kind of like mockumentary almost style, like filmmaking. Sure.
Yeah. I think he probably has like a little bit of documentary history in his past too. I don't know that he's done a feature documentary yet.
I don't think so from what I looked at.
Yeah, but I assume just in his, you know, just in experimentation and learning that, yeah, he's done it all.
Well, he has such an interesting career, and he's had such an interesting trajectory, Larry Fessenden, that it's sort of, it's just it's been fascinating to kind of like, as we were even choosing films and even and doing this sort of look through like the different types of projects and things that he's worked on over the years. It was just sort of interesting to explore that, because he's one of those folks that I've seen in multiple films before, but didn't necessarily pay attention to too much to like directorial credits or anything in that sense that early on. So this was kind of an interesting sort of thought experiment too to dive into.
Yeah. He's an interesting guy with an interesting history. We talk. It seems like it comes up a lot on this on our show particularly, but we talk a lot about like kind of the 80s and 90s of New York and how a lot of things came out of that. I think it's mostly just because we like Hen Lauder films like Basket Case, and we did Brain Dead recently, or Brain Damage. So like we talk a lot about those films, and just New York was like a hotbed for independent filmmakers. And Larry Fessenden just happens to be of that kind of same class, but also kind of the most mature and talented of that class. Like a lot of those films are schlock and they're garbage. And it's not that we don't love them, but it's just, you know, Larry Fessenden, you know, was in that kind of class of filmmaker, and I'm sure he knows and respects a lot of those people. And like that's also how his career continued, because he just supported a lot of new filmmakers coming up. And, you know, if he shows up in a film, you know, acting, there's a good chance he also is just like supporting those filmmakers in some way as well. So yeah,
it's true.
But just to go back to this film quickly, because I'm running a little bit over time, but you know, Lillian does meet up with another man, and they're like, it feels kind of like a very standard meet cute of like, oh, she has a bad relationship. Well, here's the Hallmark guy to come and save her. He's, you know, an environmentalist, and he has a dog and a daughter, and he's handsome, and, you know, he knows all about living off the land, and, you know, wants to fight for animal rights. And so he seems like, you know, the perfect guy for her. But they have this kind of on again, off again tryst, and it leads to an almost encounter in his, apartment that's above a general store.
Yeah. What a weird setup this man has. And just in general, was it Alex, the character that she meets, who's the environmentalist? Yeah. No, I think we clocked it immediately, didn't we, when we were watching it, that we were just like, oh, this guy is he's the other love interest because of the sharp jawline and the general sense of morals that Jeffrey doesn't seem to have.
Yeah, he's the complete opposite of Jeffrey.
Basically.
But then it all kind of culminates in this dinner scene where Jeffrey, who actually was out in the field and trapped Alex's dog, and Alex happens upon Jeffrey doing this, but Jeffrey is sly and he conceals the dog, he fills it full of sedative and puts it in the back of his car wrapped up, and so he's hiding the dog from Alex. But they get into this nervous conversation, and Alex winds up inviting himself over for dinner, and so they're all sitting at the dinner table, Lillian, Alex, Jeffrey, and then one of Alex's friends, I believe his name's Phil. They're all just sitting around having this debate about what it means to do science, and it's through an interesting lens, because there's a lot of things you would probably hear from the right wing today, especially
right. Yes.
that is coming out of the very liberal Alex's mouth, but you're hearing some of those things, they're not done in good faith today, but it's some of the same talking points that you hear. And so it's an interesting conversation to hear, because, if you put yourself back in that time, you go, Alex is obviously, the lib guy. He's, he's for sure is and he probably still is today. He's probably more progressive today.
And it's one of those worst debates because they're all talking to each other. They're hearing each other, but they're not listening to each other, which drives no conversation. And you're like, okay, well, you're just screaming at each other at this point.
Yeah.
And I found that this is something that this movie does over and over and over again. And it's meant to be specific, obviously, that Lillian lives in an island by herself, basically, throughout the course of the entire film, is that regardless of every man in her life seems to think that they understand her, but none of them are actually listening to anything that she says throughout the entire course of the film.
Right. Yeah. Even down to this, scene where you think, oh, finally, here comes Alex. And you don't want him to save the day per se, but you do want him to stand up to Jeffrey. But what just happens is what Arthur is saying is it's just the two of them bickering. And you find yourself putting yourself in either the shoes of Lillian, who is just obviously checking out from all of this, or the friend Phil. You can kind of put yourself in his shoes, and it feels like when you go over a friend's house and your friend's parents start arguing, is it has
that, and you have to leave. You're like, I'm gonna leave the room because I'm so uncomfortable, because Phil gets up at one point, he's like, I'm gonna clean up the dishes. I don't know what the hell else to do here, bye. And he just leaves. He
just tries to do dishes with Lillian and then peace out as best he can. It's that level of awkward and uncomfortable, which is great. So
it's that mom and dad are fighting, and it's just uncomfortable. And it can happen with parents. It can happen parents if you're friends with a couple who are having an argument that you happen to be privy to because you're around to witness it. And it's just one of those uncomfortable social moments where you don't quite know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. But nothing is really solved from this. I mean, other than just Lillian is put off from Alex now, and Jeffrey is obviously more dug in than ever. There was nothing that was ever going to turn him back from his goals, so it didn't matter. But all of that leads to a final culmination when Lillian discovers, that she knows where Alex's dog is, and despite her and Alex having an argument, she leads Alex to where Jeffrey is experimenting on animals. And as they arrive in Alex's truck, there's a bunch of power cables leading out from a barn, And Jeffrey has brought out his video camera to film his greatest triumph, which is he's cut Alex's dog in half and sewed on the back half of a cow, and has
It's
a
so
control.
insane.
It has a control, box on its forehead to like run the power. And it's just it is one of the most insane images I've ever seen. Just because the whole film is pretty, like, it's pretty down low, and like you see, like we've seen animal cruelty, but never would you expect, like, unless you identified that it was a Frankenstein film, never would you expect it to end in this type of Frankensteining.
I wanted to cry during this scene. It made me really upset. But it's true. You don't get your full Frankenstein moment until this point. It's more that like you yourself have to clock the Dr. Frankenstein within Jeffrey's character, I think, early in the film. And then if you do, from there, you can kind of see like where things are going to an extent, probably not to this extent, but to an extent. It feels like more of a slow burn. So I don't think I expected it to get this crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, as it should. Like, there, just quickly, there is like one real cute visual reference that Fessenden does earlier in the film, where I believe it's Alex's daughter is picking flowers, and she's overtaken by the shadow of Jeffrey at one point, because I think Jeffrey's looking to talk to either Alex or the farmer. But that's a very clear reference to, Frankenstein and the little girl with flowers from.
He finds the little girls, and the little girl, he winds up killing her by throwing her into the lake there. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right to be upset by like this puppet that they have at the end, because it's mangy and pathetic and gross. Like, the animal you can tell is like not enjoying being alive, whatever alive is for it at this point.
Who would? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting, and it's unpleasant, and it's terrible. Like the animal even just like face plants and dies, and just like ugh.
Yeah, and there's like lingering shots that just prolongs your uncomfortableness and upset. It's wild, man.
Yeah, and it's all happening in like the middle of a field in the middle of the day. So it's like it's on full display. It's not like a thing they're trying to hide. So yeah, but like the effectiveness of the puppet makes it like just so unpleasant and real. But it's this thing that just it does set Lillian off, and she just like, that's it. She's had enough. Like this is cruelty beyond cruelty. It doesn't make any sense to even be doing this. It's not, like it's not science worthy. And she just decides she's had enough, and she's also just done with Alex as well, and so she's going back to the city. Like that's it. Like, this relationship was dead at the beginning. We knew that. We knew it from minute probably 6, but like, it's finally done for her, and she's like, through everything else she's experienced, and like not getting pregnant and not being able to get pregnant. And she also has like a real surreal dream sequence in there. That's great.
Oh yeah.
And just, a whole bunch of signs. And this is the final sign and confirmation, because she hasn't really seen Jeffrey's work until now. And then just seeing it in stark daylight like this, of running power cables to a half dog, half cow head, is just, nightmarish. And she leaves. That's it.
Yeah, and I just want to get your comment on this. What happens to Jeffrey at the end of the movie? Because I think it's the best scene in the whole movie.
He gets punched in the face. Maybe he's dead. We don't know. Yeah, we couldn't tell. We were like, hey, did Farmer Boyd punch him hard enough to kill him at the end of the
farmers
movie?
Are strong. He could have totally killed him, man.
Maybe.
I mean, he might have. Like, yeah, I think it's possible he did kill him. At the very least, he was knocked completely unconscious. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just the farmer, like, he's been, kind of in the background. He's been part of the film, and, like, he just gets word somehow that like Jeffrey has done something to the cow that Jeffrey bought off of him.
Bought from him, yeah.
And he just shows up and just decks him right in the face, as he's on another one of his primate phone calls, and just decks him right in the face, knocks him out enough that he does fall to the ground, and as the farmer leaves, a truck full of primates does pull up, and so it's kind of that ominous, not knowing ending that, all right, the farmer kind of got his revenge and he walks off into the sunset. But at the same time, we don't know that Jeffrey's dead and there is just a truck full of chimps waiting for him to do whatever he does
exactly,
next.
That's it. Very ambiguous.
I think that's sort of how ominous the ending is to a degree, right? Because it posits the idea that obviously that a punch wouldn't necessarily kill a man. So it's entirely possible that he will wake up and simply continue on like the path of mania that he's on with the experiments that he's doing.
What if this farmer is One Punch Man? You don't know.
Listen, it's possible. And I would hope so, because I too wanted to punch Jeffrey in the face by the end of this film.
That is fair.
Yeah. So that's the film. There's a lot more nuance to it. I think there's a lot more like, excellent visual storytelling. And I think it's like definitely a film that's worth going back and watching as part of Larry Fessenden's, catalog. But I think it's just a really good film overall. Like I said, it struck me, to make me change my pick as I was doing research. So yeah, great film. Like I still think it's very worth going back and watching, because it does have just, I think the richness of like all of the interpersonal connections, the richness of the world he builds, and just that final image of like, oh God, is, it's all worth it. So, well, that was No Telling from 1991. Go check it out. I believe it is on AMC Plus, but now it's time. Ev, you decided which film you would like to do next. Will it be Meaghan or will it be Arthur?
So my movie, which I think is a little bit more fun and less depressing than cut up animals.
Okay, all right. It doesn't have to be fun to be good.
And vampires, but anyways, it's The Dead Don't Die, which I think is a very underrated movie, because when we went to see it in the movie theaters, among the handful of people that were there, everyone was very confused except us, because they were, I think a lot of people were expecting like a head-on zombie movie with a lot of blood and craziness and everything going on there. That's not what this movie is about. This movie is very meta. This movie is very breaking the fourth wall type of thing. And you need to watch it. If you guys have not seen it, you need to see it. It is absolutely hilarious. One of the better performances of Adam Driver. Like you Meaghan were saying that this is the Adam Driver that you like.
I only like a deadpan Adam Driver. I feel like I never appreciate him as much when he's trying to be too serious. I only like him in this specific format.
Yeah, like I don't understand how this movie right now on the scores on IMDb has like a 5.4, I think. This is definitely a 7 minimum.
The thing is, it's a bit absurdist, right? Like that's
exactly.
I know, but that's sort of the point. But if you go into it not necessarily expecting that to a degree, or not expecting the tone that you get, I think it throws a lot of people off.
So I think that's what happened, is that, so I'm a big fan of zombies. First of all, absolutely love that genre. I have a zombie knife in my bedside table just in case an apocalypse happens. I have a plan. So I'm just letting you know. Okay. I absolutely like that movie. I think it is one of the better zombie movies out there. If we discount the whole, there's not too many gory kills and the zombies are not insane and running after you at full like light speed. This movie is great. So you've watched it, right, Steve?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd seen it before we did this episode, and I watched it again, in preparation, because
That's it.
I do like Jim Jarmusch's films, and I am strangely in the camp that I didn't actually love this one when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about on second rewatch?
Second rewatch, I didn't dislike it. I think it was mostly just kind of the shock of the ending, the way it gets super, super meta, and then just that thing that comes out of nowhere with Tilda Swinton. And I was just like, I don't know what you're actually going after for.
I will say on rewatch, that whole section of things really threw me off. And I liked it less, I think, on rewatch than I did the first time that we saw it. All the stuff with Tilda Swinton, I was like,
how dare you?
I'm sorry. It was weird. I was like, oh, never mind. I can't quite figure out how I feel about the tone and how this fits into the rest of the film.
I'm pushing you off the microphone. That's it. All right. So kind of to go into the whole plot of the movie. First of all, I want to say that I did some research into this, and it is absolutely hilarious because this movie would not have been made without Tilda Swinton. So she did other movies with Jarmusch, and apparently, according to some, digital publishers, I guess you want to call it, whatever. She bullied him into making this movie, into making a movie about zombies because she liked working with him and everything. So he actually envisioned less of a horror movie, and he wanted to make more something like Coffee and Cigarettes, which he did, but then, he went with the style that this movie is. And he was like, okay, well, if you're going to bully me into this, what do you want to be? And she was like, I want to be Mortician. And I think the whole arc of her being this weird ass mortician that we're going to talk about,
the Scottish mortician who is like a ninja.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Comes from all of this crazy situation. So the movie essentially takes place in a very small town called Centerville, which I think you clocked in having 700.
I think it said 738 people was the population that I saw on the sign, at the entry to the town. Yeah. And it was just Centerville, a nice place to live or something. And I was like, all right.
And I wonder if that number of 738 counts the people who are in the graveyard that are dead, because it seemed like there was less people than that to begin with.
Nobody there.
And it center. Yeah.
I was just going to say, so that actually is one that may count that population in the cemetery. So there's a lot of references to Night of the Living Dead in this film. And there is a Centerville.
Kill the head was everything. You got to kill the head. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There is a Centerville, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour south of Pittsburgh. Where the Night of the Living Dead films, the Night of the Living Dead films are more Butler, so that's an hour north. This movie would be an hour south. And then they make references to a Potter's Field Cemetery, which is outside of Centerville. And then they make references to Latrobe, which is also outside of Pittsburgh and a little bit to the east of Centerville. So I don't know how, much Jarmusch really researched about Centerville, PA, but the actual Centerville, PA only has 200 and people in there. So then you add in the cemetery, then it would be about 700.
Wow. Okay. So I guess I was right.
Yeah. It's a really small town that's just outside of Pennsylvania, outside of Washington, PA.
Right.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of Night of the Living Dead and Pittsburgh references in this. So I do enjoy that.
Yes.
But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little added flair from a local.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's awesome. Thank you very much, because it confirms what I was thinking, and which is great.
This is so much better to get from someone who's actually from the area.
Right.
Because we have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Jarmusch is a New York. Jarmusch is another New York guy, which I assume is how him and Fessenden maybe met up at some point. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of New York, upstate New York, but he did center it in PA. But yeah, go ahead.
Makes sense. So I mean, this actually makes it even better because this is a real location, which I think gives me that more appreciation for the movie. So we are met with kind of the main key characters, which is Chief Clifton, played by, I'm really bad with names. I'm sorry.
Bill
Thank you very
Murray.
Much. I know. Okay, I know.
My God.
Bill Murray, and we have Ronnie, who's played by Adam Driver. So they're kind of driving to get to a kind of a police report that they have to take care of, which is a missing chicken from a farmer. That's how
Farmer Miller
has reported his chickens missing. And that's kind of like the things that the Centerville police take care of in this area.
Because there's no one there.
Okay,
700 people.
I get
what
it.
would you do with your time?
And I think we meet one of the best characters ever, which is Hermit Bob. First of all, his name is Hermit Bob. Like, what?
Second of all, he's played by Tom Waits. So
Exactly. That's it. And he is this very kind of crazy man, bearded eccentric who lives in the woods, who has basically rejected society, which I understand and I'm thinking about doing as well.
Especially lately.
Yeah, that's it. And, you know, he's kind of like, he just lives in the woods and he does his crazy man things that if you look from the current social situation at him, you would think that this guy is crazy. But you will come to realize, but at the end of the movie, that he actually is not, right? So they're very chill with the guy and they're like, hey man, can you just like not steal the chickens? And he's like, hey, fuck off. And, you know, and then they leave, which I guess is fine. So this is kind of like where the whole situation starts to unravel, because it is getting late, but the sun is still up and people are confused as to why the hell is this going on, right? So we get some kind of reports on the TV that because there's some fracking happening on both of the North and the South Pole caps, apparently it's shifting the axis of the Earth and it's basically fucking up the whole thing. Sorry, I hope we can curse on this podcast because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if people realize this. I don't know if people have realized this about Canadians, but we actually swear a lot more than people think we do. So, but we do it nicely. It's never directed at people. It's just about what's going on.
Yeah, so we're kind of giving into this whole situation of there's something fucky going on right now. With the whole polar caps and maybe things are shifting. And obviously, if you kind of know how the world works in general, you're given to understand that this is a pretty dire situation. If the polar cap starts shifting, everything will get fucked, essentially. And one of those impacts is allegedly zombies, because...
Well, doesn't it knock the Earth off its axis or something?
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah.
But like, so if this were to happen in a real world scenario, it would be an ecological disaster and it would be the end of the world. I don't think it would create zombies as much as I would like it to happen. Okay. So
you and I have different dreams.
So with all of that, apparently the shifting of the polar caps creates zombies, and we are introduced to two reanimated corpses, one of them played by Iggy Pop. Which is like, what? That is wild and super awesome. Just by the way, I need to do this plug for this movie.
Oh my God, you're so funny.
I absolutely love it. Okay, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch the movie Suck. It's a Canadian movie. It's about vampires, and there's like the most crazy, star-studded music icons in this movie, and it just doesn't make sense how they got these people wrapped up into this movie, but it's absolutely wild, and it really reminds me of this with Iggy Pop.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this actually.
He has like a non-speaking role in
but
this
it
film.
does have Moby, Henry Rollins. Oh, sick. Jay Foley, of course, because it's a Canadian film.
Yeah.
Alex Lifeson, because it's a Canadian film.
Of course.
Yeah. It's a very I don't know how to describe it. It's a very Canadian movie. It's got what's her name? It's got Meaghan from like Mad Men and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like it's got very, very Canadian people in it, but it's great.
It's a great movie.
So fun.
It's absolutely hilarious.
And it's got Iggy Pop in it and a couple of other like very well-known musical artists in it that we can, every time we watch it, for the life of us, we cannot figure out how they got these people in this movie.
It's a bunch. I'll check it out sometime. It looks good.
It's actually really good. It's wild. And then you have, Iggy Pop that appears, and they're zombies, which I'm like, great. And they go into essentially they go into a coffee shop, and some of the main characters there, secondary characters essentially killed. And this is when it all starts to unravel, because the zombies are coming to, they're becoming undead, reanimated, and the police is getting involved, the two main characters being Cliff and Ronnie, right? And they visit, and I just really want to expand on this scene a little bit, because I think this is the best scene in the whole movie, where they are in the cafe and they see what happens, and they're like, what could this be? Maybe it is a wild animal.
Oh my God.
And then they say, could be a pack of wild animals.
Could be several wild animals.
Several. Yes, thank you. And then this repeats on 3 or 2 other different characters. It is absolutely hilarious. And this is like when they start going meta and almost breaking the fourth wall, whatever, right? So it gets worse. You get the whole thing of them visiting the graves because they start to believe that it could be a zombie thing. And obviously some of the graves are essentially open, quote unquote, right? Because people got out of it. And you have the whole scene of Ronnie teaching the cast of the police station on how to kill the zombies because you gotta kill the head, right? So first of all, great teaching from him, very smart man. That's how you gotta do it, right? You also have kind of like a juvenile detention center story going on. I don't want to really expand too much about it because I don't think it brings that much value.
I didn't really understand the point of having these characters in this movie. Not that it was bad, like it was fine. I just didn't really see what they added to the plot.
I'm not sure. I don't know, Steve, if you have an idea of what those characters added to the plot.
I don't know what they add, but I can see what he was kind of going for because he's creating this institution that like it's supposed to be a little bit of a jail, but also it looks like a school from the outside.
Yeah.
And you have these kids, 2 of them are female and 1 of them's male. And the male is like hanging out with the female kids. And apparently they're not supposed to, they're supposed to be separated. And all of the guards at this CDC facility, they were wearing CDC shirts. So it's supposed to be some sort of government agency, but all the guards in this place are bald, juiced up, like Vin Diesel lookalikes.
Yo. So oh my God, they all look like wrestlers. They all look like they're WWE stars.
Yeah. So like, I think Jarmusch is like trying to put forth this concept of, the way, institutions, separate kids into being boys and girls. And like, you have these guards who are representative of, hyper masculinity, making sure that order is maintained. But like you said, I don't know what the hell that adds to this movie. It's just like, it's commentary and then you can read the commentary, but because those characters never interact with the people of Centerville. They're just there observing the world fall apart. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. You could probably make a whole separate movie with them, but I don't know what it does for this film.
No, exactly.
Which is one of the reasons I'm just like, I get what you're saying and I agree, but also it has nothing to do with this movie and I don't care. Take it out of this movie.
Yeah, no, but exactly to your point is that like if that scene or those characters weren't there, it would not have changed anything. The only thing that I can think of that those characters, I guess, brought on to the movie is that everything that they were talking about actually made sense to me in the context of this movie, right? So they were saying like the polar caps are shifting, it's going to create an ecological disaster, you can have other ramifications, whatever it is. So I think they were kind of like the voice of reason, science, quote unquote.
Because they wound up feeling like exposition dump characters.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what
their
it was.
exposition, and it's perhaps another commentary that like the youth know what's going on, because these are young kids, and the one kid is able to explain everything that's happening and why it's happening, but other than that, it's just kind of like, okay, we have these kids who are locked up, and maybe you're supposed to think they're the only ones who can do anything, but they're still locked into this system that they can't do anything from. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe there's that. So I'm just going to completely glance over them for the rest of my commentary. So we are then introduced. I think I'm kind of following the concept of the movie. We are then introduced to because this is a Passenger Fest. Wait, how did you call it?
FessFest.
FessFest. There we go. That's a great name. So we're introduced to him, who is a motel owner, and he actually has a pretty decent arc, I would say, because he doesn't like die in the first 10 seconds of the movie, 10 minutes of the movie, whatever. He has a full-on character arc. He's introduced. He has lines, and he has a whole story. He has a cat or several cats that have disappeared.
We have several cats who are complaining to us.
We have
about
2
food.
cats.
Yeah.
You make it sound like it's a house full of cats.
It's a house full of cats. I don't know, but they want dinner.
So he has a whole arc essentially in this, and this is kind of like where he comes in. And then we have also the Zelda Swinton character who's introduced, who is the mortician, but like the weirdest mortician that I've ever seen, because she practices martial arts.
I love her character so much.
Oh no, she's great.
She makes no sense.
Absolutely no sense.
She's just like a random Scottish mortician. Spoiler, alien. I don't understand what the point of this character is.
I wonder, because this is something I thought about on my second rewatch. My first rewatch was just being confused by the character and shocked by her, her sudden just leaving of the film as she takes off in a UFO. I mean, we do spoilers. Everybody knows we do spoilers on this show, but so my first watch was just like bafflement. But upon rewatch, I was thinking about the character, and I put it together that she's actually a Highlander, as in Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery Highlander.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, she is. Yeah. She's just more like Japanese trained.
Yeah. Yeah, like she's more obsessed with like Japanese swords, and she has like a Buddhist statue in the mortuary, but she's Scottish. She knows swordplay. She cuts people's heads off, and she's an alien, which is a big part of Highlander too. So, like, she is just a Highlander, and they never address it.
I never thought about. I didn't even remember that in Highlander 2 that's like a thing that happens.
Yeah,
with the character. Like there's like an alien character, but it's so ridiculous because she does the thing that actors do when they're not Scottish and they play Scottish and they over enunciate the words when they're like doing the accent and stuff. And as somebody who grew up with one entire Scottish half of my family, I can tell you that's not what Scottish people sound like. Everything is a run-on sentence and it's garbled, and you just have to kind of figure out what they're talking about. That's usually how it works.
Good to know. Good to know for the next time I do a Scottish accent.
You'll know. You'll be aware of it. You just have to garble your words more.
Great.
Right. So I feel like at her introduction, this is kind of like where a lot of things start to unravel almost. Because, we see her putting on absolutely terrible makeup on 2 men.
And no, it's a man and a woman. It's a couple.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a couple.
Yeah, it's a man and a woman.
No,
okay.
It's a couple who have died.
Okay, fine.
On the golf course.
Well, she doesn't care, and she thinks that they're both, I guess, women or something.
No,
Anyways.
she just doesn't know what she's doing. She's an alien.
Okay,
she doesn't know
exactly right. So that's where it comes from. And this is where she gets really badass and like completely cuts off their head with like just one strike of the wrist, which is awesome. And that's when things start to unravel because the zombies are starting to take over the town. Right. We get some amazing scenes where apparently the only soundtrack that this movie has is a CD by Sturgill Simpson that just plays The Dead Don't Die. And apparently from what I read is that the director was like, hey, man, I want to feature you in the song, in the movie. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to write you an original. And that's the only thing that they're doing. Which is absolutely awesome, and it is so self-referential. And Ronnie starts to break the fourth wall because he's like, hey, Cliff asks him, what is the song? I don't know it. And Ronnie's like, well, it's Dead Don't Die. I know that was kind of like at the beginning of the movie, but whatever. They're just referencing the movie itself and the name and everything. So a lot of those things start to go crazy, essentially. We have a couple of characters like Hank and Bobby who, one of them was in the cafe and the other one kind of like owns a bodega, I guess, or was it a comic book store? I wasn't even sure what it was.
It's just kind of like a roadside gas station.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. Because they can also I think they also get gas there, but it's just basically a gas station convenience store. But he loves comics so much. He also, loves to sell comics and Sturgill Simpson CDs and just like from the way it seems, the smallness of this town, they have places to buy things, and that's this place and the diner is shut. So
Yep, exactly. So that's where people go. You have the craziest cameo of RZA, who is a UPS driver that appears there, which is wild. I don't know how they swung that, but they did it. And then you have, in terms of cameos, you have all the other ones who are Selena Gomez, out of all people.
yeah.
And what's his name? Butler.
Austin Butler.
Austin Butler.
Remember Austin Butler before he played Elvis? God, what
Yeah,
a time
before
that
he
was.
couldn't shake his Elvis accent.
Oh my God. I still think he can't get rid of it.
I don't think so. So those guys appeared. They're basically kind of like, travelers who are getting to the hotel and everything. And then things just kind of like hit the ground running because zombies are taking over the city. Well, the little Centerville,
The town.
the town.
But also, I think we're given to understand they're taking over multiple areas.
Yeah, they're taking over multiple areas. The zombies are also absolutely hilarious because they keep referencing the things that they liked the most. Like, some of the zombies are beside a pharmacy and they're like, Xanax. I was dying laughing when this happened. Some of them are like, oh my God, Wi-Fi. Anyways, it was absolutely hilarious. So that kind of gives, I guess, a commentary in general of what the zombie are and the general aspect of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And then we get, a bunch of characters die, obviously. Unfortunately, Larry Fessenden also dies.
Fessenden.
Fessenden, what did I say?
Fassbender.
Wrong person.
That is the wrong person. I had a couple of drinks. Never mind. Yeah, unfortunately, we kind of are to assume that, no, we see his death.
No, we do. We see him back because we see him as a zombie later.
That's it. Yeah. So we do see his death, which is fun fact from what the research that I've done is that he has a compilation of his deaths that he updates on his birthday every year. And you can find it on YouTube. And it's just kind of like a reel of all the times that he's died, which is awesome.
Cool.
So unfortunately, he dies, as it is courtesy. I feel like that happens to him.
I mean, he does die a lot. I think in the movies that he's in, that he stars in.
And the final showdown is with Cliff and Ronnie and the other third officer who, Mindy. She's kind of like the middle character of unsureness.
You need a straight man, right? So Chloe Sevigny is like a straight man who's actually like properly horrified by everything that's going on.
Yeah,
while
exactly.
Everybody else is probably too calm. I feel like Cliff and Ronnie are way too calm.
Well, okay, Ronnie is calm because he has read the script. That is literally one of his lines. He's like, he keeps saying that this is all going to end badly. And Cliff is like, why do you keep saying that? Where does this come from? He's like, well, I read the script.
He's like, what, Jim didn't give you the ending? He's like, no.
Which is absolutely hilarious. I was dying. Okay, I was dying watching this. I was dying of laughter.
This was definitely a joke. Okay, I will say that like on rewatch it's fine, but when you first watch it and you laugh while you are watching it in the theater, other people
goes over your head.
Other people did not laugh at this joke.
No.
I thought it was very funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's a funny moment and it just comes so far out of nowhere. But like, yeah, it does require just kind of like it's funnier the more you know, because you have to know the director. You have to know who the director is. You have to know that like him and Bill Murray have worked together a lot over the years. And so like it makes sense that both Cliff and Ronnie, like, Ronnie reveals that he's had the script the entire time, which then gives Cliff permission to also admit, as Bill Murray, essentially, that like, okay, yeah, I've known it the whole time too. That's why I've been calm, but I didn't know what the ending was. So, but like now we're both on the same page that we thought we're going to be safe, but I guess we're not going to be safe because Cliff thinks he's going to be safe because he thinks he's Bill Murray in a Jim Jarmusch film. He's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm the top billed actor who would never let me get eaten by zombies. And then, Adam Driver is, essentially like, oh no, you don't know how it ends. So whoops. Yeah, it's bad for us, dude.
Yeah, that's it. He keeps saying that things are going to end badly, which they do.
Yeah.
We have, Mindy who kind of is like, I can't take this anymore. And she runs out of the car.
She runs out to see her dead grandmother.
Okay, fine. I mean, I just wouldn't do that. I love my grandma, but you're a zombie. I'm sorry. self-preservation.
You're just very heartless.
Wow. I'm just very prepared. Thank you very much. Okay.
Boy,
Anyways.
Arthur, I'm with you. I wouldn't get out of the car for my dead grandma either.
Right?
Forget it, Grandma.
Thank you.
Not
Yeah.
me.
So Mindy's out of the picture, whatever, doesn't matter.
Bye, Mindy.
And then we have the two main characters left, Cliff and Ronnie.
Yeah.
And they decide to make
and Hermit Bob. Excuse me. Hermit Bob is narrating most of what's going on in this film.
Yeah, soon. He's coming into the picture soon.
Yeah.
So the two main characters decide to make a final stand, and they get out of the car, which I don't feel like they had to, but the movie has to move forward. And they make a final stand. They are in the best/worst place ever possible for a zombie apocalypse, which is the graveyard.
Yeah.
So they're swarmed in every direction. And then they make the final stand. They, to be fair, do a great job, and they have a pretty good kill to death ratio. Gamers will understand. So they kill a lot of people. Unfortunately, they also have to kill the character of Larry Fessenden,
Yes.
who is called Danny.
Danny? Yeah.
It's one of those kind of like heartbreaking moments because
I mean, he's already a zombie.
yeah, I know, but he had an arc and he was cool and he was actually a very nice character and everything.
No, he is. It's true.
Yeah.
He just wants to run his motel.
Yeah, exactly, and take care of his cats. So that has to happen, and then unfortunately, they both succumb to the horde of zombie that kind of like just a wave after wave keeps coming at them, and we cannot. He's used to it. Yeah, that's right. From the comments, and then we have in the middle of this one of the craziest, weirdest scenes where
Oh my God.
Zelda, who is the mortician, just is driving this little car. And she's having a lot of fun doing it while killing zombies at the same time. I don't know how. And she drives up in the middle of the field and a UFO appears out of nowhere for no reason whatsoever. There was no kind of like a hint at what is going on or why this would be there, but it just happens. And she kind of like beam me up, Scotty. And she leaves with the UFO having accomplished her mission of whatever it was. We don't know.
Okay. So
Yes.
I
Explain.
No, there is no explanation
There's no
for it. It
explanation.
was just like an absurdist sort of thing that was added to the film. But I do think that on rewatch, it actually took me out of the movie more than I enjoyed it.
That's
in
fair.
the first place. I feel like on first watch it's just kind of funny and crazy and you roll with it because sure, I'm watching this type of film, but on rewatch I was like, oh, I don't know if this needed to be here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, she just said, I want to play a mortician. And he was like, I guess I have to write this into a movie somehow. And I mean, that's
and
what
then
you get.
apparently I have to zoot you out of the film because your
Yeah.
character can't die, I guess.
But I think one of the most important scenes of this movie, because all of this, from what I just said and the way that I described it, seems absolutely insane and unhinged, because it kind of like has no meaning.
Mhm.
But you have Hermit Bob. Okay, remember the crazy character at
I
the
love
beginning
Hermit
who lives in the woods. He has a very interesting dialogue at the end of the movie, which kind of like sums up everything, and I think is very smart because it ties everything together. Where essentially he says that all of this has happened because people, it's a whole conversation on consumerism and people buying things they don't need and they're getting obsessed with stuff and whatever it is. And if you think about it, he's kind of right, because everyone who's like, oh, I need this and Wi-Fi and Xanax and money and jobs and whatever it is, they're all essentially dead. And the only guy who is not is this crazy guy who lives in the woods and eats mushrooms. That's his way of survival, right? So the final message of the movie, if it didn't make sense to you watching all this, like it probably didn't, of all the people who watched with when we were in the movie theaters when it came out, this message ties in everything together. And I think that was very smart.
Okay.
That is my thing. I have more things to say about cementing this as the top contender for the votes. One of them being that, first of all, if you are in a good, which I think this is a good zombie movie, it's a genre that keeps coming back, kind of like the vampires and the superheroes, whatever it is. It keeps coming back over the cycle of the movies that come back. So it's important. It's a great movie. It is good. You have an arc. It is a smart arc. It's not just a random death that happens for no reason. So all of that tied in together, I think it is an important movie for Larry Fessenden.
Okay.
Meaghan does not agree, obviously.
I think it's a fun film, but on rewatch, there were a couple of like aspects of it that I felt were just there for absurdist reasons and not for plot purposes. That's it. That's all I feel about it.
Fair enough. What about you, Steve? What do you?
I think it is a fun film. I like it. I don't love it. I think it's a fun celebration of like indie filmmaking and indie filmmakers. Like I said, there's a lot of Romero in this film. It's it's obvious that Jarmusch respects those original, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead films. He apparently went to a lot of painstaking trouble to get the car that Selena Gomez and her friends are driving in. That is not the original car from the film, but is the original make and model of the car that is in the opening of Night of the Living Dead, where Barbara and her brother are driving. And apparently he even went like so far as to color match the model, because when he bought it, it was white, but it's not white in Night of the Living Dead, but it's hard to tell what color it is in Night of the Living Dead because it's a black and white film. So,
okay. Wow. That is awesome. Wow. Good for him to go in the extra distance, right?
A lot of work, but it's also not surprising because it's like how many people, respect obviously Night of the Living Dead and respect Romero as a filmmaker, obviously, and like the original idea that he created with that.
Yeah. So it's obvious Jarmusch has a lot of respect for him, but on the other hand, Romero already did the consumerism allegory, and he didn't hit it on the head with Dawn of the Dead. Jarmusch kind of lays it out flatly in this film, especially with having the zombies announce what they're in love with.
That's it. Yes.
I don't know. The message is, I think the message is a little heavy-handed and a little obvious, and it was already done better in the original Dawn of the Dead. So I don't know. I think he had a lot of fun making this film, and obviously he had all his friends there. Like, he's been working with Bill Murray since 2003. He's worked with Tom Waits since the 80s. So, like he knows all these people, and they're just having a fun time making a zombie film. And I think it's fine that it got a little absurd, and I like the way it did get absurd. But at the same time, I just don't think I don't think it elevates the zombie genre. I don't think it elevates anything. I think it's just a bunch of friends having fun making an indie film with a star-studded cast. It's the question of like, what if everybody was famous and had fun making a film, versus what if it's just you and your buddies making a film?
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very well said. And from the information that I gathered is that apparently everyone there was basically paid in peanuts, literally speaking, because like you said, it's just a bunch of friends making kind of like an indie movie. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I do want to say that for me personally, as a big lover of the zombie genre, I think it stands apart from everything else because I have not seen a zombie movie that is like that. There's like the slow zombies, there's the crazy ones and the infected ones in 28 Days Later and the whole franchise of that. This one is very, very different, and it kind of like stands to the side and shines a little bit for me, but I am like 100% biased. So
yeah. Again, I like it. And also, I would also say I don't think it stands up to even Shaun of the Dead as best zombie comedy. So
I agree.
I think Shaun of the Dead it stands in its own category.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's hard to compare it to that, but yes, I agree with both of you guys. Anyways, that was my love and appreciation for The Dead Don't Die.
All right. Vampires are better. Anyway, my pick for the FessFest was, or at least part one of FessFest, was Jacob's Wife from 2021, starring obviously Larry Fessenden as technically the titular character, Jacob, but more, I guess, predominantly starring Barbara Crampton as Anne, his wife, who is the lead in the film. It is a vampire film, obviously. It follows Barbara Crampton's character of Anne, who is a pastor's wife. Larry Fessenden plays Jacob, who's the pastor in the small community that they live in. I know the film was I know the movie was filmed in Missouri. I don't remember if it's set in Missouri specifically, but they're in a small community, so it might be. And follows her as she reconnects with an old flame to a degree and starts to, I guess, reconnect with herself to an extent.
Goddamn Tom Lowe.
Oh, I tell you.
You ruined the whole thing.
No, he didn't. He made it that much better. And begins to reconnect with herself after essentially a chance encounter with a vampire who bites her and begins her sort of slow but steady transformation process. But really, the movie is a little bit more than that, because it's more of a commentary on relationships in general, particularly like long-standing marriages, maybe from more of like the baby boomer generation. And a lot of it has to do with how many women in relationships very often feel like they give up very large parts of themselves for their spouses, and they put aside their own interests and their own feelings and their own aspirations to a degree to help support their partner, and they lose themselves over a period of time. And it explores, the aspects of these long-standing relationships and how they can change over time, and how maybe people's feelings for one another change over time, and how this particular woman in this circumstance, through a supernatural occurrence, sort of is able to reclaim some of her actual, I guess, I don't know how to describe it, but some of her actual personality, like some of her own way of being.
Yeah, personality, agency.
What was your take on it, on the general
agency
thing?
Thank you. That's a really good way of.
But what was your take on it, Steve, from like a different perspective on the whole general premise of the movie?
I don't know. I actually like completely agree with Meaghan with where the movie was coming from. Of like it is like a rejection of like standard power structures, but it also kind of has that way of putting in like you can also go too far in the other direction, which is like why the master has this control. The master is also just partly control, and I think this film is very similar to No Telling in the way that like we wind up at a place where Barbara Crampton is neither nor. She's not the person she was, but she's also not gone through the full transformation that you kind of expected. The same way Lillian in my film, obviously we knew she was going to leave Jeffrey, but you mistakenly thought it was a foregone conclusion she would wind up with Alex. And instead she chooses a third way. And I think we wind up in the same place here with going a third way in Jacob's Wife, which is, independence for both of them, really.
I agree. I think that it does that interesting thing in the same way that No Telling does to a degree, where it subverts sort of your expectation of, and now the woman will wind up with a different man. And it chooses not to go in that direction, and it chooses to give her that agency and that level of choice in her life, and that reclaiming of her own agency that she maybe did not have at the beginning of the film, essentially. I guess actually, you brought up the master character, and I did find that that's like, he's obviously so, and lives in this quiet place as a very sort of subservient wife to a pastor played by Larry Fessenden, as I mentioned. And you get a really clear picture of the dynamic of their relationship early on in the film, because even when she makes attempts to express her feelings about things, he has a tendency to talk over her and to not necessarily, again, it's another case. This is maybe No Telling in this film have like a lot of similarities in that way, where he doesn't really listen to anything that her character is saying. Maybe he hears it, but he's not absorbing the information in any capacity, and he simply trucks along with his own feelings about everything.
I feel like you guys are gonna gang up on me because these movies have too many similarities, and I'm afraid now.
We're just gonna have to see how the voting goes. But yeah, I find that she kind of exists in this almost like subservient role to a degree. Whether or not she wants to be in it is obviously another question, but that's kind of the way that she exists in the early parts of the film, she reconnects with an old flame due to a sort of like a historical society project that's being worked on at an old mill. And she's able to, start to gain like some of, her own sort of enthusiasm for something that she's working on herself, because she's not worked outside of the home in a very long time. But again, her husband, Jakob, shows no support or no enthusiasm for anything that she's doing herself. When she, is working on this project at this old mill, it's like a revamp of this old building that I guess is being turned into some sort of retail project, essentially. She meets up with a designer who is an old boyfriend of hers from prior to her getting into a relationship with Jakob before they got together and then got married. And she, is approached by him. There is a moment between the two of them that obviously reignites a bit of an old flame. It seems as though they're maybe going to like start an affair to a degree, and then that does not happen. She chooses not to. She chooses to restart her fidelity to her husband. But of course, all of that is kind of thrown out the window because they find these very large crates.
He gets eaten by rats.
Yeah.
That's why.
That was fucked up. They're attacked by rats. And then in turn, obviously, this vampire that's called the Master, played by Bonnie Aarons, who I thought was very cool in this role. But also, I really liked that the Master vampire in this case was a woman. And you're kind of given to understand, even through some of the dialogue that the character has, is meant to be like a female identifying character, which isn't something that you necessarily see very often in vampire like film.
Right. Yeah.
Generally we see like a master vampire and we're like, oh, it's a man. Okay, fine.
And actually, she was like really cool because she was totally giving her the choice. I mean, that's towards the end. We're going to talk about it. But she was like, hey, man, I can turn you like completely. I could not. You kind of do what you want. Which, is very nice from a vampire.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too
exactly.
nice.
It's a woman.
Maybe a little too nice.
Maybe too nice, yeah.
It's a woman giving a woman a choice because she's not had one before.
But is she is the question. Is
I mean, look, there's a level of manipulation.
Yeah. I think the point was at the end that maybe she's a little more manipulative than she was letting on, and but we never see that outcome. We're not. The following point to that is that we never see that outcome because we're never Barbara Crampton's character Anne is never given the chance to follow that, to see how it plays out. So, yeah.
No, they don't have the opportunity to like explore it in the film. Anyway, yeah, that's it. When she's turned, obviously she's able to start to explore aspects of herself that I think have largely been dormant throughout the course of her marriage, particularly from like obviously like a sexual perspective, which like there are religious connotations that come in there because she's probably been largely kind of repressed to a degree over the years because she is married to a minister, and so probably doesn't necessarily feel like she can express herself sexually very frequently. And I think we're given to understand that their relationship hasn't been very physical in more recent years either, which is probably a component of that for her as well. So she kind of re-explores that aspect of herself. There's a lot of, in the early stages of the movie, there's a lot of exploration of, women who are aging, who feel like maybe they're not as attractive as they used to be. Like there are a few specific scenes with Anne's character in which she's like looking in the mirror and is examining herself, and she's got wrinkles, she's got fine lines, she's aged, she has like like dark spots and things like that, like the things that sort of just happen naturally as we age. And she kind of examines those things about herself to a degree and we get to like explore a little bit of those aspects that we don't always in horror, because a lot of the times like the female characters tend to be a little bit on the younger side, not in every movie. And I feel like there's less of that now maybe, but there was definitely a period of time in which that was mostly the case. And those weren't really themes that we were exploring, because how could we? Because all of the female characters were, 30 or under, essentially.
She looks great though.
Oh, she looks fantastic.
Yeah, she looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she's beautiful. So, but we're just able to explore like those aspects of things and the aspects of aging and how women, are seen as less desirable as they age. Like these are things that come back now. Now we're seeing it more and more in film. Like something like The Substance obviously explores that to like a really, really heightened degree. But this movie does kind of touch on those themes as well, in a subtle way, which I found that I enjoyed overall while I was watching it as well. This was the second watch because we had watched it, I think, when it originally came out, the film. But this was like just sort of like a second exploration of it. I don't know. Maybe I connected with it because it's like a very female-centric film because it follows a female character who is at a particular point in her life where she feels like she has no freedom, she has no agency, she has none of her own personality that lives in her day to day. And through this particular event and being turned into a vampire, she's able to kind of reclaim some of her persona and some of the way that she used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting how well this film walks the line with the interconnected relationship between Anne and Jacob, because it could have very easily gone like way too far over the top with Jacob being like one of those real hellfire and brimstone preachers who is just like, just a nutcase and a revival tent. And I think it's better to illustrate the point that it like, you don't have to be one of those super crazed preachers to like, to have like that repressive angle to you. Like Jacob is pretty grounded, and I even like the arc that his character has, in that he does loosen his grip, as the film goes on, rather than just hunkering down into being, a more repressive psycho. But it still illustrates the point that like you don't have to be that repressive for somebody to feel like they don't have control of their life. So it just it feels. In a world of vampire fantasy, it feels more real and grounded that way, rather than him being an over-the-top character too. We don't need that. We got vampires.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that I really appreciated about the movie is that I thought, and I did at the initial watch, that he's going to be all fire and brimstone and, vampire is terrible, devil, etc. But he actually kind of like mellowed and tried to help to the idea, and he tried to help her kind of overcome with it. They're trying to fix it. He wants to find a cure, see if they can kind of like get past this. I think it's a very great character development for his character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could have been very one-dimensional.
Exactly.
I think, Steve, exactly what you were saying. It could have been very one-dimensional. He could have been a very hellfire type of like preacher character, but they chose not to do that. And partially through the writing and through his performance, we're given the opportunity to see an actual fleshed out human being as well, which makes the relationship dynamic all that much more interesting throughout the course of the film as well. You root for these characters. You kind of actually do want them to be able to reconnect with each other and to find a way to work their relationship out, whether or not, Anne is now living as a vampire. Yeah.
You do like, you don't love the way their relationship is at the beginning, but Jacob gives you flashes of that. Oh, but he is real about his wife. Like he's trying to do his best, as far as he knows. Like what he knows isn't shit, but as far as he knows, he's trying to do his best. And, Anne is in a way with being, she was being unfaithful, but she had a reason behind it. And it's funny how that scene plays out with like, Tony Lowe is like Tom Lowe is kissing her on the neck, which is like a vampire's kiss in a way. And that's what triggers everything essentially. But yeah, like, she is trying to find a way to, not give up everything in her life. But at the same time, she also just wants to be her own person. So yeah, it is. Yeah. I think it works. It walks a fine line, and you want them both to succeed. But also there's some murder in there, and you got to go, well, I don't know how this ends for y'all.
And I think that's the fun of the sort of kind of ambiguous ending that we're left with at the end, where there's in spite of what they've been able to work through, there's still kind of a lack of trust between the two characters.
Oh yeah, that scene when she's like about to bite him and he has a knife or a stake, I think, trying to kill her. I think that was a great scene at the end.
It's just a good ending.
It was very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, there were many aspects of it that I appreciated. I guess the performances are kind of a standout in the film. Barbara Crampton and Larry Fessenden really carry everything, but even a lot of the supporting cast, like Bonnie Aarons, I thought was great. The actress who plays essentially the first character who is attacked by the master, Amelia, I thought also was really well suited to like this whole situation. She's a character again, like everybody's given surprisingly fleshed out backstories. This is like a young woman whose mother is struggling with addiction issues, and she finds solace in the church and in Jacob's sermons, and has a bit of like a hero worship for him to a degree that Anne kind of clocks but doesn't condemn. She just sort of wants to still help this character in spite of that kind of like feeling that she has about the way that this girl seems to treat her husband and things like that anyway, and it's just kind of like it's an interesting dynamic to see.
Some of the practical effects were absolutely amazing. They were really good. Buckets and buckets of blood. So that was fun.
This movie does dip into like the silly sometimes, which is like it's
Oh, for sure.
It's funny, and it goes tonally weird, but I don't know, I think it works. Like you can tell the film doesn't take itself too seriously, so
yeah.
But yeah, like especially towards the end there's some pretty silly stuff, but I don't know, I like it. It doesn't detract from the film. I think it makes the film just a little bit more easier to watch, and like it's not like a dour relationship drama all the way through.
Yeah, exactly. It gives it that kind of flair.
Well, it gives it it reminds you periodically while you are watching it that you are watching a horror film, and not a horror film that takes every single aspect of itself too seriously. It's one that's still willing to have fun with the subject matter, because it's like, well, this is also a vampire film, so we are still going to do something fun with this as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this director, Travis Stevens. I've seen a good handful of his films. I think I've seen all of his features now. And this one is kind of a funny nexus of like all of the characters that he's worked with. Like his first feature was Girl on the Third Floor, which stars wrestler CM Punk. And
no way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's okay. I think part of it is like it's a very slow film, and it's very singularly focused on CM Punk for a long time. But I think it's pretty good. It maybe takes itself a little too seriously. But then in this film, he's working with Larry Fessenden and Anne, who were in We Are Still Here, that we talked about, which he produced. And in that film, they were both called Jakob and Anne. So he produced that film.
I know, so weird.
Yeah. So he's kind of bringing.
I noticed it while we were doing the watch throughs. I was like, oh, why are these people playing the characters that are named the same names? That's weird.
So he kind of, not that he brings the characters, but he does bring their names over, played by the same actors. So it's a funny nod to a previous film he produced, and CM Punk is in this film as well. And
he is, yeah. He's one of the deputies, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the deputy at the end who's like getting training. And then another actor, Sarah Lind. I believe she's...
Yes.
Is she the daughter or...
No, so she plays the sister-in-law, or Anne's sister-in-law, Anne and Jacob's, I should say, sister-in-law. So because Larry Fessenden's character Jacob, he has a brother named Bob, and Bob's wife is named Carol, and Carol's played by Sarah Lind.
Oh, the one who's like way too hot for him.
The one who's way too hot for him.
That's why I thought daughter. I don't know. I guess I didn't pay attention to that part well enough, but Sarah Lind actually goes on to star in Stevens' next film, A Wounded Fawn, which I really love that film. So
Okay, I haven't seen that one, but I've heard of it.
It's on Shudder.
Actually, you know what we're talking? It's okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. You know what? It's weird we're bringing up CM Punk being in Girl on the Third Floor, but also this film, which is vampire film. And my understanding is most recently this year he starred in Night Patrol, which is also a vampire movie.
Yeah, and I think he's a cop in that too. So
I think so. Yeah.
So maybe Night Patrol's an unofficial sequel to this movie. Like he gets
maybe we just don't know.
At some point between this film and that film, he got turned into a vampire.
Yeah,
by Barbara Crampton.
You never know.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Jacob's Wife a lot. This is the first time I saw it. Did you have anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I think that was about it. This was just, I don't know. I really liked this the first time that I watched it. And I think I liked it even more on rewatch because I was maybe more aware of like the themes and the story beats and things. And I could pay attention to more than just, that's it, sort of the vampire of it all and kind of like the gore elements of it and stuff, which were wonderful. But it was great to be able to pay attention to some of the more sort of subtextual elements of the story on a second watch. So yeah, this is one that I think I just like, I really liked. It kind of gets started almost right away. It's surprisingly less of a slow burn than I thought it was going to be when we first watched it as well. It does have moments that don't take themselves too seriously. The performances are super strong. And it really just, I don't know, it just continues to be really interesting to me.
Yeah. Cool. I think we talked a little bit about the kind of the themes of like, aging and, like what it means to be an older woman and everything. There's another film Barbara Crampton's in that came out recently called Suitable Flesh.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard it's so good.
I don't know that I would throw it up as good. I would put it up as it's good in the sense of like it recreates kind of 1990s like sleazy softcore in a way. Okay. Like it has that sheen of 1990s sleazy softcore, but it's still like an H.P. Lovecraft horror film. But yeah, Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton get to do some stuff in that film that you would not expect and kind of comes out of nowhere and you go, oh wow. So yeah, but there's some similar themes to that, but that movie is a lot cheesier and sleazier. It doesn't explore it in a mature way. It explores those things in a sleazy way. But still a fun film.
Nice.
But
add it to the list.
Yeah, okay, we'll put it on the list.
The ever-expanding list of horror movies.
Oh, God.
Goodness.
We'll never get through all of it.
No, it's like a lifetime of watch hours.
Suitable Flesh and A Wounded Fawn. A Wounded Fawn is a way, way better film. Like, I think that's Travis Stevens' best film at this point. And so, like, go check that out. Check out A Girl on the Third Floor if you haven't. But, yeah, maybe put, like, Suitable Flesh in between those two is the way I would kind of rank them as, like, maturity and fun. So
nice. Okay, we'll check them out.
Okay, well, I guess that brings us to the end. We've all presented our cases, and now we go into the voting. And the way the voting works is we do a little bit of a ranked choice in that, first time around the horn, we'll ask what you're voting for, and most of the time we all vote for our movie because obviously our movie is best.
Yes, you are correct.
So we can start with the assumption no one is changing their votes. I can tell Arthur is not. I'm definitely not. And so I would be shocked to find out that Meaghan is changing her vote.
No, I don't think so. No offense. I think if anybody should change their vote, it should be you after the conversations that we've just had.
Okay.
Jesus.
So with that, we move on to our second round of voting. And now you pick the second best film that you would vote for.
Okay.
With that.
Okay, that's smart. I like that. Yeah.
With that in mind, I think we'll go in order that we presented movies tonight. And so it'll start with me and then go to Arthur and then go to Meaghan. And you can give a reasoning as to why you're picking that film. But For me, obviously, I love No Telling, and it was going to be pretty close if We Are Still Here was on this episode, but it wasn't. So unfortunately, Arthur, I'm easily going to vote for Jacob's Wife. I like The Dead Don't Die, but for all the reasons I kind of mentioned, it's not. I mean, it's just not the top. Like it's a love letter to a lot of stuff, but it's not that original, and it's just it's just a fun cavalcade of celebrities and things. The other thing is, we're talking, it's Larry FessFest, and Larry only has 5 or 6 scenes in your movie.
That is true.
That's fair. That is fair.
Like, I like his performance. It is fun just watching him walk around and go, where are my kitties at? Like, that's fun. Like, he's a fun character. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And his character is far different from the character he plays in We Are Still Here and the character he plays in Jacob's Wife. But Jacob's Wife is such a strong film in that it does make you like a character that you wouldn't necessarily like in Jacob. You have empathy for him, even though he's generally would be just like an asshole in the real world. And there are worse versions of him out there that never learn. But the fact that he does learn, and he does grow, and he does show like those moments of weakness and being pathetic, like when he gets chased by the teens in the mill, and like he just winds up running away and falling down like an oaf. Like, you feel bad for him because he's pathetic. And so I think it's a really strong performance in a strong film, and the film's a lot of fun. It's like easily watchable, and so with that, I can easily vote for Jacob's Wife as my second.
All right, fair enough. Look, since we're going in the order, I'm just gonna plead my last case about The Dead Don't Die, and then I'm gonna say my second vote because I can't choose it twice. Right? Okay, so first of all, the movie has 2 wins and 7 nominations. I didn't check the other movies, so I can't speak for that. But it was.
Then you're biased, aren't you?
No, I'm not
checking it. Right.
It was a nominee for 2019 Cannes Film Festival for the Palme d'Or, which is, as far as I know, is their top tier nomination. It was also nominated for the Saturn Awards for the best horror film and the best makeup, and it won the. Let me get that. The winner of the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards for the best makeup effects. So just a little tidbit for The Dead Don't Die. But since I am biased and I cannot choose it again, we might have, I don't know if this has ever happened on the show, but we might have a unanimous decision. My choice is also Jacob's Wife. The movie is smart. The character has a lot of development, which I really appreciated because he wasn't unidimensional. Essentially,
he
right?
Wasn't like one
he evolved, and because it's a FessFest, right? The character evolved over time. The movie is fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously in certain cases, but then it does. I mean, when she's moving those couches by just lifting it with her hands, I was impressed. I'm like, when can I do that?
Those were great.
That was awesome. I was like, that's goals right there. So I have to say, yeah, Jacob's Wife for me as well.
Right on. So with that, Meaghan, you've already won, but go ahead and let the audience know what your second choice would have been.
Yeah, so I know that's it. All of us are voting for our own for the first, but I will. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it, having watched all of these now, and that's it. If I do take the We Are Still Here out of it, I think my second choice would actually be No Telling.
You should totally vote for We Are Still Here. It's going to make Brian happy. Come on, the guy's sick.
No, he's not. He's playing Resident Evil 9. Fuck him.
You liar, Brian. I just, you know what? I enjoyed this film, I think, more than I was expecting to, because actually we went in completely blind. I didn't read a synopsis of it. I didn't look into what the film was about at all. We just found it, put it on, and I
barely found it.
Kind of, yeah,
because,
I know.
We don't have AMC Plus in
because
Canada.
Because Canada.
So you got to go You gotta go. This is why we pirate so much in Canada, is because you can't find any.
Say that. My God.
It's true. We couldn't even find it to rent. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I pay for my movies, okay? I want to support the creators, but we couldn't find it, so I'm sorry.
It's bad. So I just find I guess the themes were so much more rich than I was expecting them to be. I thought the performances in the film were really solid. The visuals were so impactful, even if they bothered me very frequently. But they were so impactful, which I think was the point of them in the first place. That I connected a lot with like Lillian's character and stuff. I keep saying this. I love that like my first choice is Jacob's wife because I connect with the woman in the film, and I guess that just makes sense. But you know, I connected a lot with Lillian's character and her feelings on a lot of things. And how pushed aside she feels and everything in the space that she's living in and existing in. And it was just something that was so interesting to watch. And I don't know. I love a Frankenstein story.
Sure.
So I think that this was something that kind of resonated with me overall. So No Telling is my second choice.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Can I just say, none of you all voted for the Then Don't Die, and you all suck. Okay, Brian, save me here if you're listening. Come on, man.
I have a feeling Brian would just vote for Jacob's wife as well because it's super similar to his own film. So, like,
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, We Are Still Here was awesome.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, We Are Still Here was very good. It's actually too bad we're not getting an opportunity to talk about it.
Yeah, I would have loved to talk about it because like that last scene was really so top notch. Anyways,
well,
not
it's an
spoiling
exploration of grief that was very interesting to see.
well, now you have ammo to take to your own show. You can do your own. You can do your own episode on it.
it.
We'll have to do our own episode on it. We didn't watch it for no reason.
Yeah, you're loaded up with an episode to go. But all right, Meaghan, you as the guest are now the winner of the very first Larry FessFest, and that means you get to choose next week's punishment film for our episode. You are,
that's so
like
exciting.
I said, you're both welcome to come back for it if you want to. But if you have an idea of just a very bad film you'd like us to watch, or a very specific film you'd like us to watch that you think is like underappreciated, whatever it is, if you have one now, you can let us know, or just tell us in the coming week, and we'll put it up on social media to let the audience know what you chose so they can all watch it. But yeah.
I don't know about you. I mean, this is your choice because you won. I have a movie in my mind.
Okay, I don't have one right now.
Which is absolutely hilarious because it is so bad that eventually it becomes good, but then it becomes bad again, which I think is great. Maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe you have. Regardless, it is totally worth a rewatch. You agree if you want to do this or not.
Okay.
But what is it called? Alpacalypse?
Okay.
What are you talking? Oh, Lamapocalypse?
Lamapocalypse.
Or Lamageddon? Is
Lamageddon.
it Lamageddon?
Wait a minute. I'm going to get the actual movie. God damn it.
I think it's Lamageddon.
Lamageddon, I think, sounds right, but Alpacalypse is very funny.
That's right. It's Okay, well, I was close. Okay.
But you've actually watched this movie.
I watched it and it was great. It's Lamageddon from 2015. It is so good. And if you agree with it, that is the punishment movie.
Okay, sure.
Because you're going to have a fun time.
No, it's fine. That's fine. Lamageddon is fine. We can do Lamageddon. I'm sure I'm going to have so much to say about it after we watch
my God, you have no idea.
All right. Well, maybe next week we'll be doing Lamageddon, or maybe you guys come up with something in the meantime. But whatever it is, I want to thank you both for coming on the show and enjoying Larry FessFest with us. Why don't you take the time to plug your show where everybody can find you and all that?
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us. First of all, that was such a blast. It's fun. So fun watching all those movies and everything. It kind of like exposes you to different things because, you kind of get stuck in your own bubble. But yeah, you can find us at Gravestone Pod for any social media platform that is out there. We're basically everywhere. And if not, like I said, gravestonepod.com. We have a cool horror movie quiz. If you don't know what to watch tonight, check it out. Very simple. It's literally 4 questions and then you get a movie pick.
Just gives you an idea. So
yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for having us, Steve. And hopefully Brian will be able to talk to you next time. But
Right on. Yeah, and for us, Halloween is forever. We're on all the social medias, and you can sign up at patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever and get all the extras that we offer, including access to the Discord so you can watch what live shows happen and exclusive monthly podcasts. So go on there, check it all out, give us $5 dues.
Yeah, if you haven't done it, why? Like, do it. The hell are you waiting for?
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. It's good advertisement. So there's always got to be two of us pumping the numbers up, and Brian isn't here, so I need a backup to just really get that audience in there.
That's right.
But with that, though, for the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Steve.
I'm Meaghan.
And I'm Arthur.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.